Hey everybody, what's up? Tim here with today's SCE. I hope wherever you are crushing it today and continuing to do awesome and be awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Title for today's shoot is Crush Self-Sabotage. So I don't know about you, but for me, self-sabotage is something that for a long time I really struggled with. And when I say self-sabotage, what I mean is I would get close to a certain goal that I've been going after for a long time. And it seemed like that goal was going to come to fruition. I was going to be able to get what I wanted. And just as I started to knock on the door of victory, something happened. I did something occurred that took everything sideways, blew it apart, and produced defeat where victory should have been. And this can happen in relationships, this can happen in business deals, this can happen in athletics, this can happen at work, this can happen in family, this can happen in just about every environment of our life. It occurs when we're ready to break through for a new level, when we're ready to reach out and grab something that we've never had before and really expand and really get something that we've wanted. But for some reason, something occurs that knocks everything sideways, that blows everything apart and takes us right back to where we were. Well, there's a reason for that. Now, typically, self-sabotage is when we, either consciously or subconsciously, decide that what it is that we want isn't for us. And either because of a fear of success or a fear of failure, we get really close to that goal, and either consciously we do something to blow it up, or subconsciously we do something to blow it up because ultimately inside we just don't feel like we deserve it. And oftentimes it's because of our own lack of self-worth and our own feeling of unworthiness that we look at that goal, we look at that amount of money, we look at that position, we look at that relationship, and we say, you know what? That just isn't me. That's not for me. And I can't go there. And therefore, I need to stay where I'm at. And the way that our mind works is our mind is designed to keep us safe. And anytime we move into an area of uncertainty or an area that's unpredictable, our mind typically breaks into that fight or flight mechanism. And when we see uncertainty, many times because we have a need to create structure, we start to make a lot of assumptions. And oftentimes, because of that fight and flight mechanism, those assumptions are laced with fear and laced with doubt. And we go into risk mitigation mode where we think, well, if I get into that spot, if I get that new job, how am I going to sustain it? Am I really worthy? Or if I get into that relationship, well, it's probably just a matter of time until that person blows me off or until they find out who I really am. Or if we get that athletic goal or that fitness goal, we think, you know what, it's just a fluke. I didn't really deserve it. I can't even maintain it. Therefore, I'm just not going to quit because the pain of trying and failing is too much for me. And I'd much rather stay safe and in my comfort zone. So we stay locked in our comfort zone. So many of us get into those cycles where we get close to a victory and all of a sudden something happens and it knocks us right back to where we were. And we get close to a victory and something happens and it knocks us right back to where we are. And oftentimes it's not about talent or skill, it's an identity issue. Our thoughts and our repeated thoughts form what we believe. If you think something enough, pretty soon you're going to believe it's true. Once you believe it's true, you begin to accept that as your identity, and we live from our identity. So when we self-sabotage, what we're saying is this new picture of me, this new image of me, this new measure of victory, this new job, this new relationship, this new level of musical ability or fitness or writing this book or whatever isn't consistent with the way I see myself. It's not part of my identity. And because it's so far into our identity, we just decide it's not for us. And either consciously or subconsciously, we blow it apart and we blow it up. So really, when we're going for something, the first thing we need to do is we need to work on changing our identity. We need to get our identity to the point where it is congruent with who we're trying to become, not who we are. Now, the great news is this is really easy. It doesn't take much work, but it does take commitment. It does take time and repetition. So oftentimes when we're trying to get to that new goal or that new relationship and we're thinking about it, and we're thinking about it, oftentimes we're telling ourselves a story or we're imagining pictures of the way we're going to show up in that role. And once again, because it's new to us, those pictures oftentimes are negative. Or even though they might be initially positive, we don't believe we deserve it. Therefore, we end up producing a negative picture. And when we rehearse that negative picture again and again, we convince ourselves that it's not for us. Therefore, we move away from it. And we would rather not get hurt, not get disappointed, and not even risk, even though it looks like we're going to be successful, rather than get let down or believe we're going to fail. So how you change that is you need to change the picture that you have of yourself in that situation. You need to become what you're trying to become, and you need to become it internally before you become it externally. Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest at the world in this. Muhammad Ali was a fighter in the 60s and 70s, and I've used this example before, but it is brilliant. He started to say, I am the greatest, I am the greatest, and he'd say it to his friends, and he'd say it to his family, he'd say it to everybody. And when you look at the interviews from Muhammad Ali, he tells you, I said I was the greatest, even before anybody else believed it, and even before I believed it. And he started to picture himself as winning fights and being the greatest. And as he did that over time, again and again and again, his identity internally became of one where he was the greatest. And because of that, he thought different, he acted different, and his identity became one that was affiliated with success as opposed to failure. So as you're picturing yourself going after that relationship or going after that new job or that business deal or excelling in music or writing that book or whatever the case is, develop a picture of you succeeding, not one of you failing. And all you need to do is develop one single image. Think about a movie. Think about all the thousands of frames. And that movie is made up of just individualized frames. So you can create an internal movie of you succeeding, but the most powerful thing you can do is create one image that shows you succeeding and doing well. It's almost like a single photograph. And get that photograph fixed in your mind and hold that image. Begin to practice that image again and again and again. Practice that image when you wake up. Hold it in your mind when you drive to work. Hold it in your mind when you drive home. Every single moment of every single day, you have the ability to be holding an image inside your mind. And typically they're random. We just let them come arbitrarily. But if you intentionally hold that image of you succeeding in that area and you have the thing that you're trying to get, or you being the person you're trying to become, and you hold it again and again and again, pretty soon it's going to become your default. And you're going to start to believe it, and it's going to become your identity. And once it becomes your identity on the inside, not only are you going to know that it's where you're supposed to go, but you know that you're already there, and it's just a matter of time until it manifests. So the way to change that identity is to just picture yourself winning, break it down to one single image, and practice that image again and again and again. And you'll find in just a few days it starts to grab hold, and you begin to believe it, and it comes automatically. And then anytime you start to worry or stress or doubt, you can flip right into that positive image, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you practice it, and you practice it, and you practice it until it becomes something you think, something you believe, and something you are. And when that becomes the case, you no longer self-sabotage, because your identity is one that's congruent with the success you're trying to achieve, not congruent with the person you currently are. You've become the person you're trying to be on the inside, and therefore it shows up on the outside. So the best way to stop self-sabotage is to get that picture of success in your mind of who you're trying to become, what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go. Hold it as much as you can, just that single picture. Ruminate on it, simmer in it, become totally absorbed in it, totally immersed. Practice it again and again and again. In just a few short days, it's not something you're doing, it becomes something you are. And it's just a matter of time until you move into that victory that you're seeking. So this is Tim with today's self-confidence explosion. The best thing you can do to crush self-sabotage is to create that image and hold it and hold it and hold it until you believe it. It becomes part of your identity. And when that occurs, it's just a matter of time until you succeed at what you're trying to do. Hope you found this helpful. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon.